Welcome to Chapter 17 on Country Conditions Evidence, brought to you by the World Affairs Council of Austin. This video will explore the role of country conditions in immigration law. Our learning objectives are to explain the purpose of country conditions evidence, identify its major sources, and understand how judges use it to evaluate credibility and risk of harm. Key terms in this chapter include country conditions evidence, State Department reports, NGO reports, expert testimony, pattern or practice, internal relocation, government protection, and corroboration. Section 1 defines country conditions evidence, which is essential in asylum, withholding, and CAT cases. Judges use this evidence to evaluate credibility, the risk of future harm, state protection, and internal relocation possibilities, among other factors. Section 2 focuses on major sources. The most authoritative are U.S. State Department reports. Additional sources include NGO reports, news and academic materials, and expert testimony. Judges prioritize sources that are official, comprehensive, and updated annually. In Section 3, we see how judges use country conditions. They assess credibility by comparing testimony to known facts, determine the risk of future harm, and evaluate the country's protection ability, among other criteria. This also helps in assessing Convention Against Torture claims. Section 4 covers the pattern or practice of persecution doctrine. A respondent may qualify for asylum without personal targeting if they are a member of a systematically persecuted group. Country conditions prove the systematic nature of these claims, affecting groups like religious or ethnic minorities. Section 5 discusses strengths and weaknesses. Strengths include objectivity, detailed information, and corroboration of testimony. Weaknesses include the risk of being outdated or generalizing conditions. Strategic selection is key to addressing the case's specific legal requirements. Section 6 highlights how both sides use this evidence strategically. Respondents' counsel uses it to support credibility and prove risk of harm. DHS may argue that conditions have improved or that the harm is criminal, not political. Both sides define the legal reality using country conditions. Section 7 presents discussion questions for Monday through Thursday. Topics include the essential nature of country conditions in asylum cases, evaluating credibility, defining pattern or practice, and how DHS might argue improvement in country conditions. Here are assessment questions to test your understanding. Topics cover naming sources of evidence, the purpose of expert testimony, the relation to internal relocation, and the role in Convention Against Torture claims. Assess how evidentiary standards apply to asylum litigation. We now introduce a case study. Aisha Mohammed, from Ethiopia. Her claim is a well-founded fear of persecution based on political opinion and ethnic identity, stemming from her activism and her brother's forced disappearance. The corroboration analysis focuses on the nexus between Aisha's testimony and objective country conditions. Her testimony details repression and targeting, while country reports confirm systemic violence, highlighting the need to establish a pattern or practice of persecution. The defense witnesses provide human context and attest to Aisha's credibility. Government witnesses challenge this, focusing on regional stability and specific political dynamics to raise doubt about the expertise and relevance of the defense's evidence. 4 key legal questions must be resolved in Aisha's case. Does corroboration elevate her testimony to probable? Is the persecution systematic enough to qualify as pattern or practice? Is internal relocation a safe option? And does the risk of torture meet the Convention Against Torture threshold? The prosecution's stance relies on 3 key points. First, Aisha's experience is argued to be an isolated incident. Second, the credibility of the specific threat is challenged. Finally, the prosecution argues that safe internal relocation within Ethiopia is possible.